Whew. Hello, galactic travelers, cosmic crew. What's happening? Where are we? What's going on? Wow, who are we? Who are we? Who are we? I'd love to see in the chat. We're going to bring this up again. Who are you? You know who you are. It's hard to come out and just say who you are after this experience, isn't it? But guys, wow, it is the 19th. It is January 19th, 2019. It is exactly 13 days from the new moon on the 5th on Vega, when we reactivated Vega, when we reactivated the divine feminine creation seed, which is the living organic matter of everything in our universe, because it's all what is within our bodies and our DNA structure. On the 6th. And I don't know about you guys, but since the 6th, it has been really crazy. And the 6th, for a lot of us, because of the energies that we have ascended into, are truly stepping into higher timelines. We are truly embodying the full empowerment of our soul, and we have been reintegrating, whether or not we are aware or conscious of it or not. We have been reintegrating our, and really, going back down to the root, just like finding the root name of a word. Since the new moon, we have all in our own way been going and finding, and it has been shown to us through some really trippy, crazy experiences that we're going to talk about in a minute, because wow. But we were shown, I don't want to get off on it. There's so much to share. I'm trying to keep this. Whew. We were closing up our seed on so many levels, and I have talked to so many of you guys, but this also was really a death and rebirth of so many things of the old 3D paradigm. And we have some concrete information that I've been dying to share with you guys, and this was the first day I was allowed to share. And it was the first day I really could share, because we've been integrating so much energy, and so much came in when what I'm going to talk about was dismantled, because we had a huge shift that dismantled this. But I don't want to get off. What I noticed was, when I go back to the 6th, which is the last eclipse, which is the new moon, okay, which was when a lot of our charts started really clicking in to this Lyran and Vegan template, because a lot of us hold those Lyra and Vegan templates. I've seen star seeds now within the past 3 days that have become in my awareness that, it's like a lot of you only hold like this outer shell. It's like your whole DNA structure is, if you will, the cosmic egg, without any of the stuff on the inside. right? And now no matter what, we're blending it all together. You're getting all of it. But in order to do that, you have to get back to the root of who you are. And it's like so many things have happened since this new moon, but at the end of the day, from only 13 days ago today, which is significant because water is the change agent and water is the six, which is then able to make the nine. There has to be the flow, there has to be that water element. And so it makes sense why 13, is linked to the DNA, is linked to the gates, is linked, to the gematria and things. But again, this is all just come out. The whole way that I'm going to start describing what all's happened has only come into my physical awareness and since the 6th of this month. It was like on the 6th there was a I had a for me in my experience there was a complete there was like a another walk-in type of situation to the point where really I'm feel like I'm relearning how to do everything again, but there's just a little spin on it. When I take a shower now, it's like I have some things to write down, to call in your hair. There's hair consciousness, and I know people have talked about this, but I never really got it before. But even more than that, it's like I automatically know to charge my fingertips with energy and to cleanse my scalp and ask what it needs and send pulses of energy and cut the contracts from my hair. I mean, it's like everything I'm doing since around the 6th, but then I'm going to get into where the shift really took off around the 12th and 13th of January, which is all leading up to, we're anchoring it right now. Okay. But all of this has just happened and come in. And my experience was profound on so many different layers. And I'm so grateful right now. I just want to say I'm so grateful to the crew. I'm so grateful to Amanda, Carrie Ann, which I'll mention. That's Quirky Cosmo. I'll mention her again. Susie Stone. Oh gosh, please don't fail me now. Who all have I been? Who all's been um, assisting? But Joyce Mason had connected me with two pivotal healings throughout this past 7 days since the 12th that were able to allow me to even get to this point, because through their assistance and through the awareness of understanding what was going on in the middle of this crazy shift that and experiences that I want to share with you guys, because I know that y'all have your own experiences, that this will make so much sense if you weren't understanding what it was. um I couldn't it was like everything came together in perfect harmony and divine plan, and I'm so grateful, and to the sessions that have ordered and that ordered StarSeedology sessions, because again, you guys are guided to come at the right exact time and to bring things into that were needed into the awareness in order to lock everything in. But at a soul perspective, what I wanted to say real quick was like, uh, how a lot of us are feeling is like we made the bus and now it's like we've been chasing the bus. It's like we were trying to get on the Titanic. We were making, and the Titanic's the one that came up, which is so interesting. When I was thinking about this right before this live, it was like from a soul perspective, it was like we were trying that we were the guy on the Titanic. Can't remember his name right now, trying to get on the Titanic, and we just knew at a soul level we had to get on that boat. We didn't know where the boat was. We didn't know when it was going to show up. We didn't know how the hell to get there really. We were just trusting our intuition and our guidance. But at a soul level, that's what we were all doing, guys. Because we were running to get on this bus, because this shift that we're in right now, and we're going to go into how deep this goes shortly, and it's going to make a lot of sense why you've had so many different experiences in the past week. But the shift that we're going through right now is a once in a lifetime, once in a I don't even want to get off into years, but let's just say it's may some of us have been through this dimensional shift maybe 4 or 5 times, but it's never been to this extent where the entire DNA is merged and it's going to clear all dimensional timelines. And we're shifting at all dimensions at the same time, and it's all connected within our bodies. This has never happened before, even those of us who are on this channel right now, that at a soul level we know that that's what a lot of us have been doing, is ascending other dimensions. And like, for instance, if I talk to you guys and I tell you, I tell some of you, especially lately in your StarSeedology sessions, when you can tell, it's like your Chiron is right in between the Hyades and the Elohim, or right in between Beltages and Cancer, which is where we are today. We're Moon and Cancer. Right. And so it's like we're going back to the original creation to seed, understand that this is the first time that has happened. And now we're actually controlling it as an organic human, creating our reality in an organic form, not a cubed out altered form. But it's like we were in this, like I said, I'm going to go back to the analogy of being in the time machine. It's like we've all been in the time machine, and what happened was, remember I said, we were waiting for the reality in order to come and resonate to us. It's like, our reality is coming to us at the same time. Well, over the past 7 days, for sure, it's like we went into the holding. We're getting ready to step outside, but we're in that zone, like in space, wherever you're floating in your astronaut suit, and then you can't just like get back on the spaceship and just walk back on the spaceship. Nah, you got to get in that little airport blower thing. Like, get all this stuff off of me. Whatever's on me, get it off of me. Whatever's on me, get it off of me. Whatever's on me, there's something right over here. There's something right over here. Ooh, man, boom. There's something right there, evidently, because it just came up and slapped me in the face. Who was that? Why did I do that to myself? Wait, what's your name? Right. And so that's the state that we've been in. Now let me tell you, though, while we were in that state, how deep it went, the clearing that we received. Because if you haven't noticed, your light language and oh my gosh, the miracles that are happening in regards to healing. I'm going to start shaking when I start talking about this, and Quirky Cosmo and the light language, and we're healing everyone instantaneously, guys. Our It's happening. Our energy is, and it's also happening because we're able to own who we are at a seed level and take back the power, because we have basically demolished all of the spells and symbols on our seed. So, how are you guys doing? What's up? I got so much to talk about. Who knows how long we're going to be here? Hello, hello. I just heard mama. Mama, I'm coming home. Mama, Mama, I'm coming. Hello, ko hashing ni esike lawake ni nikoroma ahe. Ani ono heya no haya ina ha. Heya no hamaya ni kisina hamaya. Tia no le kilera zono maria siketana hono ho. Hene koro kore rekte kono ha. Hene hono ho. Ai. I love you guys so much. Um, okay, I'm trying to keep it together. This all I wanna step through because and some of this is gonna resonate for some of you guys and others it won't, but I don't know if you watched any of the last videos, but really what came in before the 12th, since the new moon on the 6th, when this information when I started getting these downloads, it all started, with being able to decode, and it's basically gematria. What it is it's gematria, but it is as you can do it really simply with how many threes are in your words. And because when you start adding to the power of three, then what you're adding are two triangles, which puts you in a box. Okay. And then that creates that reflection, right? So what Gaia, okay, which is basically the energy field I hold within the seed DNA, and others hold as well, okay, that 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 creation, which was Lyra, which was the first organic creation, second actually from Vega. So because when you go breaking down everything to the root of the word, it's all about sound. But at this point, I didn't get that yet. Literally what I'm going to describe is very important because what I've understood going through this process and why it's so important that I show up and we do it right now is I understood from a psyche level why I got myself out this way of describing it, because from especially a Orion or any lower, some of those more left brain zeta, okay, or even if you just have a crap ton of alpha in your chart, right, and you're not just flowing and you're like overthinking everything and you're trying it's like something's happening but your mind's telling you something's not, and then you can't accept it, right, and you're going, but which is 85% of the people on the planet, right? I mean, this is no matter if you're at the stage where you're stepping in your timeline right now, or you're where I was 6 months ago, or you're where I was a year ago, you didn't miss anything. First of all, there's a huge portal coming out right now, but if you're not in it, you weren't meant to be. You didn't miss anything. Okay. I want to get that clear. So there's no everyone's on divine time. Everyone's on divine time. You're here because you're helping to lead in this next third wave, okay? So anyway, but the energy of the understanding the energy of the number, because that's it. That's right. I mean, we really have to think about what is our reality. It's energy. These are the ancient Gnostic teachings, that Carrie Ann, who's now on Quirky Cosmos, and all of us have been. This is where we've been, is down these deep, deep, deep rabbit holes, to the point where Quirky Cosmo actually gave me life again from my root chakra, and I saw my soul leave my body in light, and then I couldn't breathe for a minute and it come back in. That this is like we broke down the this matrix energetic within the DNA, within our bones. And this is why so many of you are feeling a shift, and we're going to do an activation at the end of this, um or in the middle, wherever it pops up. It's going to pop up shortly. We're gonna do an activation here, and Carrie Ann, and anybody feel free to join in with your languages of love, right? And your energies, just to lift the consciousness, to allow for that 12 DNA, that 12th DNA strand at the bottom of our root, to give it a little push, as we go through this clearing right now. So when I'm guided to do that, we will do that. But back to the tones. Okay, so leading up to the 6th, after the 6th is when it started really coming in about how everything was aligned. It really sunk in, all these locations, what this really means, because it is within and it is without. It's like it is both. It's this is where, we're losing a bunch of souls right now, because they're still wanting to blame the Alpha Draconics and blame that, right? Because that's part of that program. If you got someone to blame, then it can keep yourself in, you keep yourself in prison to it, right? So, but it's also is with it is the reality that our souls have memories of. It is part of our Akash. It is, something that we did have to ascend out of, even if we did it in this dimension when they were stacked all upon us, which is what a lot of us have been doing, at the end of the day, is how it's all figuring out. So anyway, this came, and so understanding, a little bit of that, not only that, but then really, looking at, the stories that are going on right now. And then also understanding the power of words is really where we're heading. Okay. So on the 12th, I woke up on the 12th. What day was the 12th? What's today? So just so we have 7 days ago. 7 days. Oh, so Saturday. So last Saturday, I woke up and it was all everything Egypt, 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 Egypt. I mean, whoa! It was like I knew the 11th was going to be a big deal, because it was a 111 day, and my name is 111 total, right? And all these things going on with the clicking in of everything, but it was the 12th when this gate opened, and I started decoding words like Sphinx. And again, when I'm talking about decoding, wait, real quick. Sorry, I keep getting thrown off, but I want to erase this. It is a 111010 day. Now, don't look at these like numbers. These aren't numbers. These are energy blocks. These are columns. Okay? Here's a completion. Here's a column. Here's a completion. You see, this makes a what? A percentage side. 0, 0 on each side. This is a pillar in the middle of this 0, 0. We've got to complete 2 seeds, 2 dimensions, pillars, 2 dimensions, right? I just kind of want to, because this is what's been coming out of my caution. This is what we're going to get to, is, and this is how these realities are sinking in. But, then what does this mean? Well, then this is 22. And then, yes, this is a 1, but it's also a 0, 0. So, and that's what a feminine charge is where this is where it goes back to the Merovingians. This is where the DNA, and this is where, us star seeds like myself who are pre-Merovingian and brought in that DNA, that is what it is. It's magnetic. And we're going to get to that because you're going to know it's like when you have an activation of your 12 strand DNA because you get like a magnetic pulse in your field. But because it's two negative charges, and this is back to the two twos, right? To the Isis and the Osiris within all of our energy fields. And so your Osiris is your lower chakras, and it's kind of keeping us anchored into a reality, and then it's spinning clockwise, and then you've got your Isis. Well, now those two have got to a point where they're not separated anymore, and they right, and you're in a perfect balance to where now you are the sun, you're holding this black hole space, all the planets are existing around you. And let me tell you, I'm going to share some experiences that I had of what this feels like driving down the freaking Dallas tollway Audubon going 80 miles an hour with like license plates jumping in. I mean, I felt like Neo in the Matrix. It was crazy. So right, but that's how it's existing. But those two twos, those are two negative charges. Well, if I go and do it's four, so it's 22, which equals four of these. It really is that simple. Well, four of those, if I go two, 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 there's a two, right? I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 sides of these, and I go 0, line 0, 0, line 0, 0, line 0, 0, line 0. Then I get what? A box. And then these are negative charge, negative charge, negative charge, negative charge, which makes this 2 charge. And that's what's happening now within the human genome. It's like connected, and now it's like, whoa, there's so many of them. It's like we don't even know what's gonna happen yet. But we're in Lincoln. This is it. We had 3 transits yesterday that locked us in that I'll get to. But I just wanted to show you guys that real quick, because these energy, it really is about the negative space. And this is what we're remembering. It's the flow, it's the mother, it's the matter, it's the antimatter. It's not, it's those aren't numbers. They're blocking the energy somehow. And so whenever I started doing, words like, for instance, I did Sphinx, and this is S is 1, 7, 8, 9, 5, and X is 6. Okay, so I've got 8, 8, 9, 1, 1, or this is also 1, 7, 1, 7. These right here are gene keys, and I'm going to get more into this because what I'm going to now start describing is, as I started breaking down Sphinx. Okay, this is 1717, and then I've got 2 more, which then equals 1818, which is 99. Well, 99 is also love. Okay, well, what are the 2 tones that make 99? Right? I mean, sound familiar, right? That's love. That's those tones. But Sphinx is one of the first ones I did. Then I did DNA. then Cleopatra, Nefertiti, Akhenaten, and then I did A10, A moon. Well, I'm telling you this because basically as I'm doing these, and like you just saw the 1717, like Akhenaten is basically 3355355. There's a 555 gene key. There's the 33. This is the 33-degree Mason. This is the old human DNA code. And 555, this all goes back to the splitting of the tribes. This is basically like it's like the Tower of Babel has fallen. The energetic Tower of Babel has fallen because I started seeing these gene keys. Well, these were then going back to all the other names and all the other planets and all the other words that I had decoded up to this point. And knowing the lineage and the bloodlines and things on names, and understanding the genetics of the all the star races and the energies because of the data and stuff that we've been doing with StarSeedology and everything up until this point, because I was able to connect all of that, right? And then I could see where the creation story kept recreating over and over again. For instance, the moon and Pluto and Saturn are basically also Loki's three children. They could also be Jupiter's children. Um, uh, then that energy made Spica. Well, then Spica had created a negative charge, and a positive charge, actually, which then created an environment of the opposite energy, which was Antares, which is basically what Earth is under, which is where we get into the 666 and the seed, right? And this is where basically this is where the books and humanity stop. They don't know. There's nothing between here and here, and there's really nothing besides Earth. We got heaven, hell, earth, but the history books are basically missing all the rest of it from the inside out, right? And it's all a cycle. So in this so anyway, I started that's how I don't want to jump ahead. So when I did a 10, because Akhenaten, which by the way, this was on the 12th. Now I've learned that I am of Akhenaten. I'm either him or I was his high priest, which would have been king, one of the Tuts, uh, for sure. Uh, but I just learned that 2 days ago. Just confirmed it basically. My experience has been totally crazy. It's like I don't know if y'all get this, but it's like now that I've lived through all of it, it's like now I'm getting to see all of it for really what it is, like all at once. It's like now I keep seeing that movie, The Game, with Michael Douglas. I need to go watch that movie again, The Game, because that's really what I feel like I just came out of, was The Game. A 10, so then you go look up a 10 and you have a 10 and a moon. Well, these were the gods, okay? This is why I no longer say amen, because this is actually the amen is connected to Amen, which is Amun, which was the moon god, right? Which is why I never really felt right with amen, but I didn't understand why. Well, that's why, okay? Nothing judgment or bad. It was just the polarity of it, because Akhenaten, this is when a lot of our seed came in the last time. It's because, that Akhenaten was just proven. I mean, just in the past month or so, of course, in divine planning time, that they've been doing research for 7 years, and they just found that it is absolutely 100% that he was not of a bloodline from Earth. It's like this ninth gene key that he possesses, okay? That's because that is where we incarnated for then, but it's all happening now in these dimensions. So that's why all of this is like coming up for us to close up, and the faster that we can go yes and pull in that power, which is what what we were doing as I'm walking you through the experience. This is what I was doing, was I was reminding myself all of this, and then what happened was it opened up this uh, flood of downloads. um anyway, a 10 is 1255, which is 13, which is also 4. And then our moon is 1435, and it's 13, and it's 4. So this is the 13th gate, a 10 on moon, if you will, are to the pure, they are to 3 to the 4th, which these are pure ways, to call these and those polarity. Remember, I'm not saying this is we're seeing this so we can burn it. I'm just, I'm showing you guys, so because these are tools. I'm even starting to, when I talk to you guys, like your archangels or your guides or whatever they're called, when I'm starting, and we're all getting this. This is in our DNA, okay? So what I'm saying I can now see, you can see too, or you're seeing it in a different way, right? But you're connecting it in a different way. But the oh, you can tell, like, one of you had an issue with Amanda, not Amanda, but Amanda the name. And whenever I did Amanda, it was the divine feminine at the 13th gate. It was like it, and it was exactly where her block was. But in her experience, the person, like, she couldn't get away from this person driving her crazy named Amanda. Just like in my life, Sarah has haunted me. Sarah, and of course, Sarah Damaris. I'm Sarah Damaris, right? So that's why Sarah's been haunting me. So, but I didn't understand to break it down that way. So you're gonna see patterns and things, because these energies are just energies. These are numbers. These are energies. They're energies, and they're how, and this is very deep how this was all connected. So that is 3 to the 4th, which puts us at, 3 to the 3rd, that's the sun. So we are talking about the sun and the moon, if you will, the god of the sun and the moon. And it's at the third, it's 3 to the, yeah, anyway. So I did those, and then I started seeing it. It was the same vision that I had in that gate when that golden dragon activation. It was the same vision, like that golden dragon activation, before I freed myself. In that vision, I saw myself before I could see myself getting basically locked in, like an Orion reality is what happened. I started I s- in my consciousness, there were like these onion skins of paper that were just flipping, 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 flipping. So many of them that you couldn't even see the words. All you could see was like the black ink, and there were just like gazillions of them. And I cleared through when I cleared through that. That was the first time I saw it, was when I did that golden dragon activation. Well, on the 12th, I started seeing, after I started decoding the moon and a moon in Egypt, then I had a meditation, a transmission. I didn't tape it or anything, but I saw it was like first I was shown a from the outside perspective, it was like the earth, okay, but it wasn't the blue and the green weren't land and water, they weren't stable. It was like smoke. And so I'm looking down and I could see all the blue and green energies kind of like morphing together because that's really what's going on, because we're all moving. I know it doesn't seem like we are, but now more than ever, we're moving. Y'all know we are. Okay. So it's like it was going like this. Well, then I saw it, and I've got picture here because I'm trying to remember. It started spinning and all the energies inside broke down like this in the middle, and this was where I started realizing, and this is where basically we on the last videos we talk about this is where the 2 2 comes together, and this is the strongest electromagnetic field that DuPont or somebody can build because it has to be in proper, but I mean, our energy does this naturally. Okay. So I saw it go like that. Then I saw three charges, and then it was like there were three, then this went to this. And this was it was like all our soul, it went like this. And then what I clearly saw was down here are everyone else that's stuck. And there's some of it, there were like energies coming up like this. These are the ones that are still stuck. Well, what it was so clear to me was that there were thousands and 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 thousands of those onion paper symbols, contracts, words that were just like, I mean, just so many of them, so many of them. And um again, I've described this as, you're I mean, and that's literally what it is. We're just so wrapped in these words, these angles, because we didn't have there it was all coded to keep our energy at a certain frequency so that we couldn't recreate, we couldn't co-create. um so everyone, I saw those people, and then what was really cool is that those of us, what was funny as heck actually, is that the rest of us are like up here in our little bubbles, and it was like clearly, I mean, straight up, it looked like this. We're like in these bubbles. I hope y'all can see this. We're in these bubbles, and we're all over the planet in these bubbles, and we're talking to each other, but we're all trying to figure out how to drive them. We're like, "Okay, okay, I can see you, I can see you, but I can't get over there. How do you back this thing up? How do you move this thing?" It's like we're all free. We're in our bubbles, but it's like bumper cars of the galaxies. Like right now, we're all still remembering how to move our bubbles, right? Which is interesting because this sparked a conversation with Amanda and I, because and this is where, see, and this is where things started getting weird as I started this vision and I started connecting with people. So now it's going to go off all over the place, okay? But I brought this up to Amanda, and she lives on a boat. She lives on the water. She's like, "Yeah, water breaks." I'm like, "What are water breaks?" She's like, "There are no breaks. You just go backwards. You have to go backwards. It creates a wake, and then you'll catch, right? You'll catch in the middle." Well, that's exactly what we are doing right now, is we and what we do throughout this process. Whenever we go on these huge high waves, It's like, or when we get to a point where our conscious, where we're having to clear in order to embody more energy, which in order to embody more of the one expression, the unity, the Christ consciousness, in order to embody the natural organic energy of our beautiful new planet, you know, then it's like you back up a little bit. Okay. So I thought that was interesting, but it's freaking, it was so funny. It was like bumper wars, as trying to get together, right? And then I saw a plasma reflection. Um yeah, this is when it got weird. So we were all floating up there, and according to my notes, then basically we're floating up here. Here's everyone else that's tied in to still, that's too tied in. And us up here in these bubbles creating this bright light and this energetic charges are doing what? There's always a polar, no matter what. It's how this is. We live in a magnetic universe. There is a positive and a negative. There is always the opposite of everything, which is why we're so confused as to why, words like, yeah, antichrist, and these words that freak us the hell out, are really just a natural organic process in its evolution, right? But it's got all these things on it that freak us out. Well, we're attached to that. Our energy's up here so high. This is where I started seeing the lightning, and it was just lightning and thunderstorms from this perception, from the ground perception, from the 3D perception. What they're seeing is lightning. They're seeing planets pull away. Everything's in the physical. This is where we go back to the wall. Why are we building a wall? What the hell? I mean, we've all been talking about this, but it's because, if you wall is 5133 633. There's your 3 genome. There's 6. 6 is what? 6 is 369. Can't get to 9 without 6. What's 6? Mars, Antares, left brain. Gotta have balance. Okay? So that's a wall is separating the 33. It's to the cube, if you will. I mean, we can break that some more, but basically it could, and then okay, yeah, we got to. So sorry. 5133, that's 633, so that's 6 7 8 9 10 11 12, so that equals 12. How many times will 3 go into 12? 3 to the fourth. So just everyone saying this word, I don't care if we build one or not, just everyone saying this word. And then think back in history. Oh my gosh, how many walls do we have? We got the wall of China, we got the one in Berlin. I mean, bam, right? I mean, it's like every time because we've gone through, 4 other times of evolution where we didn't make this shift. Our souls have gone through oh crap, we didn't make it, and here we go again 4 times. So understand that too. Be kind to yourself and understand that, that's a lot of the anxiety and things that you're having is because there's so many times we didn't make the Titanic. But then it's like you didn't make the Titanic, but then the boat sank. Well, okay. Well, who won in that picture? It doesn't matter because it was all on a loop. The Titanic was basically what we're going to get to in regards to the tabernacle. Because I'm really going to blow your mind in a minute when we start talking about the tabernacle and the Ark of the Covenant and all the names and the tribes. Because that's what Jupiter is. Jupiter, the tabernacle is programmed to Jupiter. It's programmed the same. So on the 3D side, in the control side, in the service to self side, then when, you're hearing those things about them saying they're rebirthing Jupiter and blah, 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 blah. I mean, they were just trying to keep it the way it was. So anyway, this goes back to the 3 to the 4th. Well, 3 to the 4th is all the way back up to it's where Adam is. So it's Adam is 3 to the 4th. Eve is 3 to the 4th plus 2, the first feminine. So that's why all those things are coming up. It's just us saying it, so just don't say the word. We're erasing this word. We're erasing the word. Just saying it's gonna build it. And no, the whole thing doesn't work. It don't work. The lines don't work. We're erasing the lines. Okay, so lightning, and this orb was pulling away, and then I saw like 3, it was almost like magnets that were on the bottom. It was like what I was being shown was our energy, because we had such a negative charge, this positive charge, which is actually the negative charge. Our energy is basically going up and down, like pulsing, going up and down above the the group of souls that we're pulling up, okay? So it's like our energy is like this big battery going up and down and connecting to the ones that resonate. And then, it's like, it's what I was being shown is that like they connect, and then maybe one that might connect to, like, it was going down and lighting up, but then, some would come up, and then it'd go back down and it'd light up, and then some would come up, but it kept going. So anyway, I wanted to share that. This is also when I started having all these understandings of our hair and hair consciousness. We're all tripping out about our hair falling out. And what I kept seeing, with the hair is just like that energy ball that I always use on the channel to describe energy. And a hair follicle grows from within the body, right? And it's an organic uh life force. And because it grows out of the body, right? So it's like your hair is like your twos, if you will. They're like these little creations. They really are. This is why the Merovingian kings wouldn't cut their hair. This is why trackers don't cut their hair, because your hair is working with the sylphs, your hair is working with the energy, your hair is like little antennas of your DNA that are coexisting, in this thing that we don't perceive is anything. But I mean, that's where that comes from with the hair. Well, we're dying, it was so clear to me that the transition that we're going through, when we're talking about being, coming in from outer space and getting back on the ship, when I give that analogy, and I give the analogy of standing there underneath one of those blowers, understand that, I mean, we're talking about literally layers of lifetimes are getting blown off of you. It really is like layers of lifetimes. It's energetic layers of contracts and lifetimes that we're repeating, 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 because as soon as you are aware and stop it, then you automatically clear up to that, because you're getting back to your original. So your hair, you know, comes from within, and it has to die. If you think about mummies, what's left behind? The hair is dead. When you die, when your hair grows out, it dies. It's old, it's part of you, but it's old energy. All of that has to come out. But what was interesting is I could so clearly see the life cycle of the hair follicle, and into everything, this, and it's in the life cycle of the hair follicle is the same as the life cycle of the body, is the same as the life cycle of a planet, is the same as the everything has this organic, natural process to it. And so understand that our hair is going through this blower, and this hair is linked, to all these traumatic experiences. So number one, don't focus on it. Give your hair love, right? But what really came up was, let me just read, because this was all like still in the morning of the 12th. I haven't got out of the bathtub yet. At 3:33. Oh, is whenever I called it at 12. I have 12:33, cleared all black magic from Venus field. Okay, so this was right. Okay, let me don't go back. Uh, turned into body in the bath and hair. Okay, hair. So I suddenly realized, because I forgot to tell y'all a big huge part, but I'll come back in a minute. After I did this clearing for all of us and I realized that I had contracts on my hair. So right now we're gonna call in the clearing of the contracts on the hair. Ay kakashiki isiki enda ohandiki ihi. Oshikinda anu isikotoku isenda ani shurugo uside sikitari kuko usikita sikita kara there were contracts, especially on the divine feminine, Mary Magdalene line, okay, which is basically all the feminine cookie cutter pieces of, okay, so there were contracts on her hair. So just be aware and call in for all of those to be released, because it really is, they're energetic. You had energetic contracts interference that you weren't aware of, just like everything else. That came in right after I realized that we cleared all of the black magic from the Venus field. And what I mean by that is I sat in the bathtub, I was in salt water, and I saw the bubbles after I saw the magnets. In between that and the hair, it was all of these images that were coming at me with all this onion paper, and um a bunch of light language came out in a bunch of different tones, and it lasted a good while. And I mean, I ended up going through the entire alphabet, and it was like I just knew that it was releasing this some of these layers of the black magic. And because it wasn't really magic, it's just all the words, the languages, the Babylonian languages. I mean, this is how they split us all up, because I mean, I just showed you that the words that we speak are what keep us on the dimension that we're on. So legit, what's happening on the planet, what I'm describing is like how this broke down, but even to the point where this is where the earthquakes are going off. This is Dutch sense. This is today's earthquakes. This is in New Caledonia, which I did the coding on, which is 131111, and it's got the 9119 in it, which is the Sarah line, which is, the that first feminine seed line. But you can see over here in New Zealand, which is where what over there, but where Australia was and where I thought I had to be physically right now, but maybe it just needed to be in my awareness, right? But see how these earthquakes are literally stacking in dimensions. I wanted to show you this. See, these were ones that went off, bam, bam, bam. It's like dimensions. There were 2.8s here in Texas yesterday. I drove through the magnetic field. It was crazy. And then, uh It snowed today here in Texas. There was a huge blizzard that rolled through in the middle of the night. My air conditioner was on in my car when I got in it today. It was 60 something degrees. Last night, about 2 o'clock in the morning, I can't sleep because the magnetic pole was shifting so quickly. I could feel the magnetics. I looked outside, the sky was completely pink. And when I woke up this morning, there was snow on the ground. Now I have my window open. This is great, right? But this is the magnetic poles are shifting. And I want to, there's so much. I'm just showing up and throwing up today. Um, when I was in so after I released some of that light language, after I released some of those languages, it was like I immediately felt it release on my seed and my in my consciousness because I mean I did that in the bathtub and then immediately it was like I knew to put my hands on my head and I asked my scalp, what do you need? What energy do you need? And I clearly heard peppermint and calcium. So I took my hands, I charged them with peppermint and calcium, and now I just do this every once in a while, peppermint and calcium. Our hair is completely changed. You can't put conditioner on this part of your hair anymore. You have to wash it as if it's two different structures because it really is two different textures and structures. You've got your new crystalline hair, and then so if you're losing hair, yes, because you've killed that dead contract. You've disassociated to that layer because like I said, we're blowing layers off. So whenever you go through parts where you're losing hair, just remember it's going to grow back like fairy hair. It's going to be tons of it, tons of it. It's coming back. Love it. But it's all part of your process. And it was just really cool to see it in that way. Um, I had also just been guided to watch Contact the movie again. Um, I think Joyce or somebody had brought it up the week before, and then I finally did it right before all of this, and I understood the reason, even with Egypt, understand that whenever you look at Egyptian hieroglyphs, one symbol means like a sentence because that really is the culmination of all those lines. It's energetic, it's not words, you know, the words are the spells. So it all those symbols are were layered on top. We all were just so dense in it. I also was shown why I was blocking writing. Um, if you have scribe lineage, uh, if in our DNA, if you're linked to any of a lot of the writers, in that scribe lineage, then we have even that's why we have even more contracts on our lineages, remember? And we're all in the same seed. We're just in different pockets, if you will. We're all in the same cosmic egg. But the ones that are supposed to be the writers and really, and they're that are conscious enough to even do the writing, had then more and more of this black magic. And I'm being reminded this is what I was doing that day is coughing. I kept I was coughing, not bad yet, okay? But anyway, I the codes broke open. I saw it. It started short. The light language I was doing started aka aka, I like aka aka, and then it went into long, and then the letter, and then it showed me the letters, and then each letter it was like there was a series of it was like ka ja ma da da da. I mean, it like we went through the whole alphabet, and then there was a whole bunch of other sounds, and the consonants were blocked the flow. It was like then it showed me, and then it broke all of those down. Like once we got to all the consonants in the light language, then I got to the vowels, and then when I called in the vowels, then I reached this real high pitch, and that ended at 102. I also have a note here to call in and listen to silver, the energy of silver. So right after that happened, now I'll share Joyce's. So right after this happened, and I was just getting ready. I was actually going to leave. I was fixing to go somewhere. My son had a hockey game or something. I mean, this all happened right as all this stuff was going on, of course. And right after that happened, and I had the hair thing. I saw the tones. I knew immediately to call Joyce. Joyce is one of the crew members. She lives in Florida, and you're going to be seeing a lot more of her. She's connecting us with so many wonderful, wonderful people. But Joyce is a master soul from Alpha Draconic, and she has a lot of the ancient ones, Thuban, and a lot of the ancient lineages in her. I mean, she is the most, Alpha Draconic that I've seen in this dimension, right? So I knew immediately to get her on the phone with that. So what was crazy is I called her and I didn't even say anything. She answered the phone and I started speaking. It wasn't light language, it was tones. I was blending tones in her energy, within her energy field from her root chakra. And it was like I could, when she got on the phone, I was doing these tones, leveling them up, and the experience that she had, I hope when I get to Florida, we'll do a video and we'll talk about, let her explain the experience. But she was seeing red, just bright red, and then she saw every color prism of energy go up into like a blue flame, if I remember correctly. But she felt the release within her energy field. This is this magnetic, one of these magnetic pulses that you might have felt, okay, or it was one of the fluctuations that you might have felt over the past week. Because as we do, we're all doing this together. I'm just telling you, I'm just the one who knew to call it in, or had to be the one to call this piece in while you guys are doing other pieces. So I can't wait to go back and watch this video and see your comments, share, because I know we're doing this all together. So yeah, that was on the 12th. So then immediately I started going. The Ark of the Covenant came up, and this is when the tabernacle came up. When you decode the tabernacle, you get the same code as Jupiter, which sent me then into decoding the cross and the tribes. And so this was on the 12th. So remember, we had just called in all of those blocks, and then immediately I'm drawn to decipher the lineages of the tabernacle. And remember, this was a physical Ark of the Covenant that they carried around in the desert. There was geometry, there was specifics to all of it. Because it's a metaphor as well. It's like they carried this box around in the desert for 40 years to realize that was them. That was them. That was all of their bloodlines merged together. They worshiped it. They gave everything for it. But they couldn't release the judgment and the mental prison that slavery had put them in, right? So the when you start decoding the different names, that are on the cross, the first name, by the way, is Ephraim, Manasseh, Benjamin. And I want to put this right here because remember, I this isn't religious. And this is where, you know, Christ and the seven energy and Christ consciousness, this is not religion. This is facts. This is truth. This is connecting the story of Christ with the rest of the stories that are also true, basically. Because all of it has truth and lies. There's truth and lies in all of it. That was the point. You had to discern it. You had to what resonates, what doesn't, right? We are connected now, we can discern. So the when we talk about the Ark of the Covenant, we're talking about the human genome. We're talking about DNA, you know. So understand that when we're all in one cosmic womb and we're bloodlines in this womb, and these different certain bloodlines represent the highest energetic frequency possible. Well, that's because it's been in that blower for a really long time. It's like, woo, we've been working on it now. And remember that that's dimensional. So that means that when you turn that diamond on, then you're not just operating this one, you're remembering that you're operating all of them at the same time, right? So when Christ died, when not Christ, when Yahshua, and I'll get to his real name. His real name, his gosh, so much has on. Our father was Joshua ben Yosef. And then this is also where you get into looking at, the year they were born. It doesn't never say what year. It says he was born at 33. That's because 33, that's on here. It's a dimension. Uh Sarah is 27. That's 3 to the ninth. That's okay. So the those are dimensions. But when you go looking back, the females are the ones who have never died, especially the ones in the beginning, because that's the original seed. So it's really on like a it's really on like a time portal loop. I don't want to get all up in that because it starts, but we're going to talk about this soon. There's just so much to share, that I'm trying to get a little bit of everything. But this is where we start looking at the females they're not listed as ever dying, because they didn't. There's a positive and a negative charge. There's a positive, there's a +2 and a +1 always. So when you have an energy, that is of this earth, that is of man, okay, then on the polarized opposite, kind of on the outside of this dimension, then you have a shining light of the polarity that's coming back at it. Now, when Christ was alive and he was activated, then it's like, if you will, our souls were existing on this plane, and it was and that and it was the magnetism, right? Well, whenever that seed died, then it's like this seed took over, and then it had to re-clear it had to go through another full cycle of re-clearing and relearning, and going through a whole nother galactic click, is what I'm hearing, to clear it within the human genome. So that's, Christ consciousness is understanding that Christ is the vessel, it's the chariot, it's the physical body, and being able to to clear it in order to make the connection to the magnet of the organic process of this new, so we can steer our bubbles. His name was Yahshua Yosef Yez Asaf Jesus La Cadet Yosef Harama Theo de Gral ben Yahshua. Father was Yahshua ben Yosef, Sarah Damaris, Princess de Judah pre-merovingen. Cannot say that ever. Bat Yahshua. This came from Prairie de Sion, not Zion, but Sion. And mother was Miriam Latour du Troupe, princess de la tribu de Be, capital B-E. Mary Magdalene, Maryam, her name basically, her name broke out into the tribes, and all of that is basically tone within a body. It's being able to hit a tone within a body, uh, which now, uh, oh gosh, I mean, because Quirky Cosmo on her stage, on her channel, and Carrie Ann helped me through some of the clearing that I needed in the past few days with her light language and her story, and I mean, wow. Carrie's always known she could heal this way, but she didn't realize that everyone else didn't know. And what's happened since all of this energy has been released, because understand that also 2 days ago through Joyce there was confirmation her neighbor actually picked up on radio waves, on D waves, light language that came in. I can't remember what day exactly it was. It was the 14th or 15th, because this was just the 12th that this started. And so we were breaking these down. Okay, so I broke those down and broke down the tribes. The tribes, I'll list briefly just the names at the top. The top cross is the top of the cross is Ephraim, Manasseh, Benjamin, which is basically equals 11. And I can't get into all the DNA codes and everything there. The right of the cross is Dan, Asher, Naphtali. This links us to Adam, Antares, and Jupiter. The top of the cross is going to link us to consciousness, the divine princess Aurora, which is basically, if you decode that, it's basically the organic, and the matrix would be described as the opposite of that. And Benjamin is right in between Orion and the Pleiades, which is the 33 again. So that was the top of the cross. The right is Dan, which is Adam, Asher, which is Antares, Naphtali, which basically is programmed to Jupiter. Then you have the left of the cross is Reuben, again, the Aurora, Simeon, which is Regulus and Arcturus. That Regulus and Arcturus is basically the divine feminine, divine masculine within the organic structure. It is a split off, but it is the organic of it. It's all organic now, but I mean, as far as, you know what I mean. And Gad, which is basically the energy that made Eve. Gad was the energy that was created from Adam in the polarity that ended up making Eve, right? Because anyway, it's a cycle. And the right of the cross equals 70. The left of the cross equals 71. And then the bottom is Judah, Issachar, Zebulun. And this is where we really start realizing that Joshua wasn't, this is Yahshua was also Nebuchadnezzar. That energy was also, Sanat Kumara. That energy was also, you linked to King of David. It's Sarah Damaris, and the Zabak and that whole, what they want to call with Satan's seed. I mean, because it really was. We took on the Satan seed in order to clear it, because that is what had to happen, because that seed died. So it's like the next generation had to come up through it, and that's what the whole thing has been about this entire time we've been stuck here. Uh, and set on repeat, and all of that is the bottom equals, okay, so the bottom of the cross equals 11, the top of the cross equals 11, or 1 1, which takes us back to 1 1. Notice 1, right? And then we've got a 7 on one side and an 8 on the other. And again, that is Jupiter. So whenever in the old energy, whenever they were talking about Jupiter, then that's what was happening. Well, then after that, then comes the 13th, and I keep thinking it's February by this. Oh, here's some other notes. I'm just gonna keep talking because I got so much to share. I kept having these flashbacks to 2012. I mean, crazy stuff. Like, I found this great new comedian. She kills me. I love her. Her name is Eliza, Iliza. So she pops up on my iPad. I'm in Netflix all the time. Never seen her before. She looks exactly kind of like me. I'm like, what's going on? Not only that, but the video that I turn on is literally in Dallas on the stage, exactly her standing exactly where I was standing in 2012 when I got my 40 under 40 award. I was like, what is going on? I've had a cupcake that I haven't had the sprinkles cupcake since 2012. And I've been to the American Airlines Center to watch Rex play hockey, and I hadn't been there since 2012. Like, I can clearly see how it's like in 2017, if we didn't make that connection, what happened was we got sucked back to the opposite. There we go with that Yahshua and Antichrist energy. We got shucked into the opposite, and we're that's what's linking in right now, but I was really seeing it. Also, them calling that storm GIA tripped me out, because that was my company's name was GIA Technology. So I wake up on the 13th and I'm thinking it's February. There's a beautiful channel that I listen to on YouTube. It's called Nine Nania, Nania, and she does the gematria and she does numerology from the Bible, and she knows the cycles, and she's really good at going back and plus the ancient scripts and like blending them all together and really understanding what it means, because a day and a night does not mean a day and a night, right? I mean, this is what we've got to decode, all these words, and this is what the process has been. But was getting the notes I have written down are 2019 equals the 13 equals 13. We're back to the 13. Well, 13 is to the 35th. 13 to the 35th, is like outside. It's the whole seed. And it's also the top of the cross. Whenever you add up the name that represents the top of the cross, it equals 3 to the 35th. 3 to the 35th then takes us all the way outside the Alpha Draconic gene key, which is 3 to the 23. The other tribes are in here, right? There's certain ones that go all the way out, or they go all, which means they go all the way deep, or they're merging them. They were merging them all together. There's no judgment in all of it. We did this all. We did it to blend the energies on the planet. Now we're just undoing it so that so you can collapse it. I just want you to, it's important that everybody see how deep all this went, and this is why we're all of a sudden having new perspectives to things, because legitimately in our DNA, in our fields, we literally melted these angles, these angles. I've got Revelation equals Book of Life 29945. This is the bride deliverance to heaven. 1290 days, 1335 days. It's the end of the daily Adir. 685 CE, abomination, Daniel 12:11, 606 BC. Blessed year 1335th year. Well, the 1335th year would be when we reach the top of that cross, when we can blend to the 35th, which encompasses all. That's the 8. 20 and 20 completion. Immediately after, the woman will flee for 1226 days. I don't know why I'm saying this right now, but I'll keep going. 686 CE in 2012, tribulation of days. Days is 4171, which equals 9. A year is 121. A year is 2 blocked in. A month is a 5 blocked into pillars. A year is a 2 blocked into pillars. That's why, once we get out of these, you you see a date, but you don't get locked into the date meaning anything that except that number is a matrix key that can flip you out to a different dimension possibly, right? That's what dates are meaning to us while we're driving our bubbles, because it's energy. Uh, 758 CE, 1,260 years started at 2018. The 7 candlesticks. Abraham sold to enemies as slaves. 2019, gathering of elect in heaven, return of the bride to earth. Then one generation will not pass until some have experienced all after the fig tree plant puts forth leaves. One generation will not pass until some have experienced all after the fig tree puts off leaves. And then I've got Gabriel 77. And that 77 key has been coming up a lot again, because that's really related to the Zeta Reticuli, and it's when you start, because the organic process of things is in 3s. That's the natural organic is in 3s. Whenever we start going into cubing, then it distorts, and then the natural organic becomes a different substance, because it has to basically change in order to reflect out so much, right? And what was crazy, so then we have the flood, the woman escapes the serpent, the dragon, the asteroids destroying Babylon, waves will cover, then at Venus, the falling of the stars, then I decoded, the word flood. Well, that's 1310. That's 1310. So that's a flood is the 13 gene key. So anything that when we start talking about floods, that's why that's also linked to the divine feminine, the divine masculine at the 13th dimension, which is inside us, as well as realities that we had created on timelines that were on repeat, that also didn't get the full merge of divine feminine masculine. So within that reality, then they're created a whole different construct. Are you seeing how this is, how I hope this is painting the picture? Well, on the third, so all of that happened, and I did tsunami, which is the same thing. Again, that tsunami is 33,613. The 13th gate, the 13th divine feminine, divine masculine, at 6 with water, with creating a change at the 33. So whenever all those keys start shifting within the energetic fields of enough of us, then organically that is what's creating on the planet is this tsunami. But understand that that's also us creating, saying that word over and over and over and over again is also creating it, right? Because we don't have to have as much destruction as what we've had before. Um, but all that happened, and then I hadn't watched any astrology that day because everything was happening so fast, and Jupiter squared Neptune exactly. So right when all of this was going on, when we were decoding the tabernacle, when we were decoding all and getting rid of all of these angles, these languages, these blocks on the human seed, which I had just called in the power of this is who I am. I know for a fact I am, and I clear it now. And which was hard, and I'm still absorbing. But whenever I did that, then it was exactly when Jupiter squared Neptune. And Jupiter and Neptune's what? The collective unconscious. Where's Neptune? Neptune is basically Sirius. Well, I happen to be a master soul from Sirius. It's the same energy. There's Neptune. Look, it's on the other side of the matrix. There's the aurora. Here's basically the divine feminine and divine masculine. So here's the organic, here's the not. Jupiter, the tabernacle, squared the matrix, basically, whenever all this stuff was going on. So I go and I jump in the car to take Rex somewhere, and holy moly, the light, this is literally, I felt like I was on. And you have to know Dallas Tollway. If any of y'all come to Dallas, like for real, it's like the Audubon out here. Like you go like 80, 85, and it's Saturday and there's a lot of traffic, but legit license plates. Because I had, and this is what happened, and this is what I want to describe, because I knew, because we get called around on the earth for different reasons. And I've even talked about this, how we go in circles to clear dimensions. And or if you notice, you might have gone and turned left and then turned right. It's like a thunderstorm broke out. It's because legit we're anchoring in these magnetic grids, in this reality, and like breaking it open. But the what happened had never happened before, because I guess, well, I don't guess, you know whenever you start utilizing your energy and your power, you become very, you're very sparing and humbled when you use it. Because we're masters, we understand that they're, you know what I mean. So what happened was, whenever I we cleared all that, just those layers and layers and layers and layers and layers. When I left the house, and this was on the 13th, and it started at exactly 1:47 p.m. You can't make this up. At 1:47 p.m., my son and I were leaving the neighborhood, and we had to get gas. And I pulled in right after I had done this. I mean, I literally threw down my stuff, wrote down a couple of notes, ran out the door, get in the car at the gas station and pull in, and my pump's on this side, my gas pump number, I think it was, yeah, it was, I pulled in and it was number 6 was closed, so I had to go through here, come all the way around. This pump was closed, so then I went back through here and then ended up on pump 7. So I was like, "Oh my gosh, I just did the Fibonacci sequence." So once we got gas and got on 380, and it just so happened that this day I had to drive 40 minutes to get him to this hockey rink that we never go to, and it was straight southwest, which is, the direction that I remember all that land falling in May whenever we birthed the new Gaia plasma field. And it has one loop, and literally I went straight down the road and then looped and then went back. Well, now, right, because this was, remember, this has only been since the 6th that Christy has been able to like look at and cubed and look at these different dimensions in these keys. And I had just the day before started seeing the tribe numbers and the energy and how it was all connected. But now it's like I'm on going 80 miles an hour and license plates are jumping out at me with codes. I'm texting Amanda each time I see one, and they start out with 88 1100. Then I've got JBC 3888, which equals 33 1188. Then at 1220 I get a 0507. It was, and then it was like 1229 I get a 15. It was constant, and it was like, but I could see it. If I sat here and analyzed it and went through it, I it is exactly in line with these gates at the lower part of our genes, at the 88 gate, at the 88 and the 44 gate. And it's like I'm driving down the road, but these cars are stepping in front of you. And then it gets to where one of them is legit. At 1233, I legit see a 411 KNG, 411 King. Then the songs, I mean, it's like I was having this full 5D experience. One of the final ones I got was at 113, and it's DFM 2226. And then at 121 there's a green license plate that says this right in front of me, which is actually 7 heart to the 1. And then one of the last ones is at 129, legit, there's a blue license plate in front of me, straight in front of the car. Whenever I finally pulled over the car after being an hour and a half, just like connecting, because it was like I had undone so much. I was all wrapped up in a tornado of energy, right? Because I had just undone so much of that magic, and so it was like I was caught up in it, and it was like it just uncoiled. Um, but it was like tracking. It was like I was in another dimension in a bloodline is what I felt. It's like I was like, nope, calling it in, nope, calling it in. This is what is happening, and merging it. And it was just crazy. But the license plate in front of me, one of the last ones that I got that I straight up have a picture of, because it blew my mind, was this one. Get her, girl. I was like, what? It's crazy. China, Korea, then I started doing a 14th. Oh, okay. I got to take a breath because now we're getting to the important stuff. I know that this is long, and I'm sorry. Maybe I should hang up and start another one. Should I hang up and start another one on implants? Let me just go from here. I hope y'all can still hear me. Y'all there? Hello, guys. Is this helpful? Is this what y'all been experiencing? There's so much. Um, I honestly feel like it's kind of like the first time I've come up and I'm talking to y'all right after the third on the 15th. This stuff really started blowing up. It was like that was just the precursor. And on the 15th, when we started getting and decoding King David and the Nebuchadnezzar and the Chaldean dynasties, how Herod's Herod's sons, which were basically, they're not necessarily sons, those are dimensions. That was Archelaus and Titus and Philip. And then through those names and those words and those energies and those numbers, then that's how everything kind of started getting fractaled and fractaled and fractaled off and distorted within the DNA field, was um through, it's so hard, I hope that's making sense. uh oh yeah, and then this is when it's just a lot of past life stuff and a lot of huge confirmations for me. uh some of them I've already mentioned today. Another new one is I found out I was Edith Piaf. Didn't even know who that was. And when I go get her real name, uh, it actually equals 111, just like my real name. And we're born, uh, she died 5 days shy of exactly 9 years from my birthday in this dimension. And now I'm aware of that, and I look at her life. It's like that Mary Queen of Scott template, and that template, it's like, and I can see that they're like dimensional keys. Now, whoa, I know that's a lot. Um, so I was just getting a lot of confirmations because on the 15th, after, a lot of that started, after I had called in all of that, we had gone through and we had decoded all these words and these names, and I was under, because all that was happening was I was getting my I was reteaching myself. I was reteaching myself the energies and understanding it from a dimensional perspective. The other thing that happened, and I can't even remember what day it was now, I think it's probably about the 16th or 17th, is I started pulling out implants. And I all of a sudden knew exactly where they were. And they were things that I had known about. Well, not one of them, but one of them was. So, and I've got this confirmation again from some other healers that where they're little, there's all different ones, okay, but if you have any what you think might be a blackhead or some type of zit, or some deep dirt or something that you've never been able to really get out, and it's been underneath your skin and you've messed with it, nothing's there. It has even maybe seemed like it's almost changed your skin texture around it. um these are coming out now, and you're going to know if you have them, and you're going to know it's time to take them out when it's time to take them out. I had, in May, when we ascended the planet, not when we birthed the new plasma field, I got a sore on the, I'll just show you. I got a sore on the back of my spine, right in the middle. I know you can see it because I had to, and it was right in the middle of my back, and it was right on my spinal column. And when I originally came in, it was like a little pimple. Well, when somebody squeezed it, it sent a shock all the way down my spine. I was like, "Oh my God, stop." I don't know what that was, because it happened at the first time whenever I had gone really high. I had made that transition into a real high dimensional experience, right? My body had just come through it. And uh, so I had this little sore. Well, it's been there ever since. So it's been like 18 months, but it's been like this little blackhead that would never go away right there. Well, about 3 days ago, I walked into my bathroom, and all of a sudden it was like I knew it was time for whatever. It's like I'd let it go. I could tell there was something still in there, but it was no big deal. I didn't mess with it. And then all of a sudden, 3 days ago, it was like zeroing in on it. Whatever that is needs to come out right now. And took a shower and squeeze, just kind of squeeze it deep, okay? And it comes out, they come out like little bitty black splinters, almost like a little wood splinter, but thicker, but they're kind of black. These ones that I found, there were three little splinters, three of these little, they remind me of the magnetic thing that you move the guy's beard and everything around with, like one of those. There were three of them in my spine. And as soon as I took those out and I saw what it was, I knew immediately those were, I put them there. Again, we're clearing we're clearing down, like literally, your sinks, your hair, your skin, the everything. We're being rebirthed in this dimension. And so me, that one started getting, when I first went in last year in May of 2018, and now it's been a year and it was time to come out. But as soon as I took those splinters out, I felt the world on my back literally, and it was like God, it was like a magnetic charge through my spine, and actually within a day is when I started having all the lower back pain and the DNA stuff, okay? So, I'm not to if you I needed to bring this up because I started looking at my eye, and I've always had this little place on my eye where I've never grown an eyelash. And I thought my mom told me I had a chicken pox there or something when I was little or whatever. Well, there has been in the past week, there was like a little blackhead thing that had developed there. Well, as soon as I pulled this out, I had zeroed in on this and out of there. And I have a little bit of, it was so small that I could barely make it out in my with eye, but it looked like a really small piece of glitter, but it was round, really small piece of glitter on my that was sliced into my eye right here on this bone, which is the on the right side, which is the it was piece of glitter here, and you could see little lines in it. It was some type of trans something, okay, and I had a clear, I took a picture, you can see it. So, I'm not the only one. If you think there's something there, there is, and as soon as I took them out, holy crap, okay? So, I know that I put them there because as soon as I took them out is whenever my complete body started activating and, my lower spine, and when I got this huge download, uh, after I took those out the next day, it was like all of a sudden I had just just files, 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 files. I mean, and I couldn't move for 2 days. So, uh, other thing super real, you have, like, ingrown hair, the scar of where, and I noticed this when I was breaking up with Mark, and now I know that, and we intercepted timelines, all these things, but when I was breaking up with Mark, I was, when we were coming out of that relationship, when we were clearing that program, I had this thing on my arm and it hurt and I couldn't get it to go away, and it was like something like a blemish, dirt or something trying to come out underneath, but nothing was coming. And I wasn't around him much, and I we had gotten together to talk about something, and I looked down and he had the same exact one, and it's cleared. But I've talked to other people. Mine happened to be on my left arm, and his was on his left arm. I did notice that then after that one cleared, that I had one pop up on my right arm, but that it never really manifested totally. But I know that that was some type of energetic something that he and I had in our skin that was attracting us to one another. And I know them to be called love bites. So if you are going through a breakup, like, clearing out of some of those past relationships, and you're seeing like that you might have some space or something on your body that looks like that could possibly be what it is. Just ask yourself, right? Um I think that that's pretty much it. The tone, the healing, just the power of our healing. Um, you know, and it was so beautiful how Carrie Ann and Quirky Cosmo came out, in a video, and go check it out on her channel. It's like, look, I've healed people. You know, just us standing up and saying it, her doing that released it for all of us in our field. Each one of us, every time we stand up and own up to who it is that we really are, just us doing that and associating our seed to our true organic root energy is bumping all of us up all at the same time, because we are all one. We're just owning up to the different aspects of the one. So the healing, Susie's in Australia. In between all of this happening, I get on the phone, I call Carrie Ann, can you send me some energy? I couldn't move. I got this huge download, completely shut me down. I mean, I could barely move. I thought I was gonna die. It was like back to salt baths, the aches in the body, the bones, the all of it, right? Because I had released so much and brought so much in. We all have. But the majority of my pain at by this point, which was like 3 days ago, was all at my lower back. Well, a lot of us have had a lot of lower back surgery, and I really think that it's the L4, L5, and the L5, L6, and it's related to the dragon, and it's related to the pre-merovingen, and the ancient dragons. I don't know what it is, but a lot of us have had, it's like, for whatever reason, the lower back is connected to the dragon, and something that had to be fixed with the dragon in order for the template to sustain it. I can't explain it, but at the human genome, there was a fix that had to be done with the lower back. But it's because when that 12 strand, when you have your 13, those 13 strands of DNA that activate the true 12 DNA, then literally what it looks like, is, those glass things that sit on the banker's desk with a little wood bottom, and it's a magnet, and it's got four pillars, and it's got this magnet, and it just goes zoop, 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 zoop. Well, at the bottom of our root, where we're literally unscrewing out of this dimension, it's like we've wrapped it all up. We've completed that timeline. This is who I am for sure. This is what I went in to do. Okay. No, 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 no. We're building anew. That's where we are right now. And but it's like that's 12, that 12th DNA strand, when they that's your 12, 1 2 create the 3, and it fires off, and it's really like, now that picture I just showed you guys, it's like they fire off into, like, it looks like 3, but it's only really 1. It's just oscillating. Well, that's where the full, complete divine feminine, divine masculine merges within our actual physical body. And when that shifts, you're going to feel a magnetic pulse go through your field. And this was shown to me after Carrie Ann did that clearing for me, and 2 days and literally when she did this clearing with the light language, it went down to my bones, and my soul I stopped breathing for a minute. My soul came out of my body and then came back in. Now, plus this is when I mean, I was so just depleted and just, fill me up with whatever. Um, but 3 that was and I'm so, so grateful. So if you're Quirky Cosmo, Carrie Ann, if you don't know how to get a hold of me but her, but you can get a hold of me. If you need some healing, please let her know. But Susie had emailed, texted, and said, "Hey, I'm having a hard time," not knowing this was in the middle of all this when my energy was super, super high before I bottomed out. Not knowing how powerful my energy connected was, I tuned into her and this is what I saw. This is why I'm describing it. And when I tuned into her and I concentrated on this piece they were showing me, it just shifted. And and I sent her a text. I didn't even talk to her. I said, "I tuned in like you asked me to, and your lower strand was stuck. It shifted, it moved. You should be good now." And I hadn't talked to her since, and yesterday I talked to her, she was like, "Holy crap, Christy, I was down for a week," you know? So and I felt horrible, but also when I was talking to her, I was getting the message that if she wouldn't have shifted that, it would have been way worse because because the rest of her was ready, everything else was cleared, and if her body wouldn't have shifted that last piece, then it would have been even more hell. She might have had some like actual body breakdown stuff. So if you're having these types of issues, tune into yourself. You could definitely heal yourself. You can definitely call in the light language now and all of this. I just told you and show and have hopefully done a good enough job to show everyone that the language is gone. It's all tones and music and vibration and frequency and color. Hey,
Sikile kaushoko ambe esiki nige endeke eshiko ohundeke eshikika aha. Shikinde de go de shendeke esilo o leke tike tiko shikide sinde bagonde sinde denon don dindike tiko ambende tike eseke. Atiko de sinde ndambande shinginde de eseke no do sinde da ande gede sinde nindo o de sekenda and no that is in the notice in the day. I should get the notice in the other get out of the application. To go up by Casey Dick and Zindi Bagana Zini Man is it God I get it as in those name when they get it to go on in minute and you know this is oh no Zitikanda as it you go to even got it go they need a body to get it and they don't work it with the other I think the old go to the about it and the rules get it and the go to the rules again and go to it to come in it's going to get to get the case in show. Hindose, hindose, handoshe, who to kiss in hesh, and Hasaya. She can say what it can in the Koroshine. Hashinde kende koso ho tete po kotike de kopa. Heshiketero ko poko shikere kete kete kodopa. Hashikendenda sononde kera kompo kushinde kesena. Hande kera mokone. Eclipse is coming around the corner. Tomorrow's the 20th. The 13th day since May, the 13th day since the 6th. It's a 4th day. Tomorrow's day 5. At 12:12 in the morning, which is basically the energy today is 12:11. Tomorrow, actually the day after in the morning eclipse on the 21st at 12:12 a.m. 12:12 is Yahshua ben Yosef, is the 12:12. The Sarah seed is 11:11. And I just found that interesting because on the day 7 he rested. Tomorrow is going to be the 20 the tomorrow, you know, is the change. We've got this weird window depending on what time zone you're in and what dimension you're in. And I'll also add that whenever we crashed that language, there was a earthquake in Virginia that day off the coast of the USGS, 200 miles off coast, a 4.7 earthquake, which equaled 11. There's occult symbols on top of the building, and if you go back and see, they were also breeding bees, which is how those dimensional constructs. So whenever we broke that, not only did we break it without the human genome, that earthquake triggered at the USGS. So this is recreation time. We're recreating. This is your twos. Keep your energy. Come on, we got this. We got this. And I'm so glad to get all of this out because now let's sing. Let's StarSeedology. I mean, oh my gosh, guys, if you're wanting to know more about your energy, let me know. I'm going to be coming to Florida soon. We're got workshops that are coming. I mean, and if you just have a question, need coaching of any sort, need me to decode some of your angels, because there's so many other cool stories that I want to describe that go into more detail about what this really means and how I'm seeing it break down multidimensional. And it is so beautiful. So I also want to thank Paige for holding on and waiting for me to get through this to get the rest of her session. So I just wanted her to give a shout out. So email me at coco@cosmicchristy.com. And I love you all. We are all one. I am you. You are me. And now we are free to move about this planet. Seatbelts not required.